No, I'm gonna beat his ass, but I'm not saying
that's
not.
exactly.
No, y'all are looking like, well, that's right. It's not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
It's not the same thing.
But you just said
it's
be the
not
bigger
the
person.
same thing.
So you're gonna say
you're not hearing what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
You're saying that I'm saying you should let maybe people call you the N-word. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, let racists be racist and just deal with them this way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying let's not lump white people in a whole group and say,
I think we all agree on that.
But that's what I'm saying. So why is there pushback?
Wait, so you're saying let them be the bully, but we shouldn't be the bully. We should never be the bully. Let's not stoop down to...
Aim at who you shooting at.
Let's not be the monster that created this.
Let's not generalize. Aim at who you shooting at.
Sean Johnson, Head Steph, Sade Renee.
Namaste.
You are back tuned into the IC. What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing?
Hiya. I'm good. Hi.
We out here, man. You already know.
It's good to see everybody back on the pod once again.
Once again.
Yes.
You know, it's always a good feeling to be back with your family. You know, your peoples.
Yes,
and we're here another day.
What's been on your mind, Sade?
Mine, crickets. Nah, like a lot. It's just like everything's like, there's just a lot going on right now. I keep seeing the whole rap is dead. We just listen to it. You guys think it's dead?
I can't tell. You know what? I feel like that's a hard question to answer for me personally, because I just feel like I'm not as interested as I used to be. I'm like,
that could be
I used to be like a real like, yo, this album's dropping this week. Oh, this dude, this verse was fire. Nah, this nigga's better than. I don't even be listening no more. I just don't. I feel like it's a seat. Like so say if you was watching like a series movie or a series television show or like a Netflix. And they come out like The Walking Dead when freaking they killed my Asian dude. I stopped watching, so I kind of like I don't even know what's going on in The Walking Dead no more. Same way I don't know what's going on in hip hop.
The Walking Dead's lit.
Nah,
it's still lit.
Oh, you mean
they made Negan one of the main characters after he did that? I was like, fuck out of here. I'm out of here, dog.
What do you know?
I don't know.
You don't value a good bad guy?
I loved him as a bad guy, but they kind of started to.
They softened him up.
Yeah,
they definitely did.
I'm like, bro, like make him the villain. We're not going like but as far as the hip hop situation, I don't know. I don't want to like downplay shit. I don't know if it's because I'm out of that age bracket where like music has such a heavy influence on my life. Or I don't really party anymore. My focus is on different things, so I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know who's popping right now. I know Lil Baby dope, but who else is doing something?
It's like we can almost like complain about like this new generation and be like, oh, when we were growing up, there was this rapper and that rapper, but there's no point because you had to be there.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point in it just...
Yeah, you had to be there.
It's just something you had to be.
It's like a joke. You're not going to get it unless you were there. You know what I mean? So that's the thing I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think I'm there mentally with the fans of today's hip-hop. I don't know what they're listening to. Shit, there's new lingo that I don't even know, bro. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I guess because I have kids. Like, I know...
That's true.
I have a son. Well, that mainly is my son because my daughter's a little ratchet too. But there's quite a few. It's just different. Like I think just the world has changed, and when we were younger, it was a very different atmosphere. Like it was almost like the anticipation of an album building up. Now we have streaming. It doesn't matter. We find music before it even comes out. There's just like a mystique behind it. We didn't have like this inside view of our favorite rappers. We just saw them as like how we see wrestlers. We thought that you think that shit is real. So it's like I think that is just changed. I don't know. I kind of feel like it is dead because it's just like if you think about the reasons why rap started, where rap came from, and kind of what it was for and what it's done for the people, I don't think it's the same now. Like, I think this whole, especially like after the Rico thing, like now you can't, there's just certain things that aren't happening and can't happen because it's like almost, I don't know. It's just like very, very, very different.
Also, that's another thing that kind of like fucks me up is this. There's so many rappers. There's so many. It's hard to keep up with. Like I now, like for instance, I don't know, like this again, and I don't know if it's because of the age thing. Like I'm almost 35. I watched The Breakfast Club. I'm like more so watching I don't remember the last time I drove here to the podcast listening to music. I'm always listening to a podcast or something informative or a debate, something of that nature, like conversation. I feel like that's more what I'm into now, like
especially the radio's dead.
Intellect, you know what I mean?
It's so crazy because I remember like going to school in the morning and say like my mother picking me up and dropping me off to school, and she would love listening to 1010 Wins and like just people talking, and I'd be like, how are you not listening to music right now?
Yeah, I was
and
like that.
Like AM radio.
Yeah,
I find myself doing the same shit. Like, damn.
Yeah, I feel like your brain. I feel like our brain craves more. Like.
More depth.
More.
Well, I still listen. I still listen. Like music's just a part of. Like I need it. Like, and I find myself. It's funny that you say that because it's not necessarily that I don't listen to podcasts. I read Audible like while I'm driving. A lot of times I even drive in fucking silence. However, I listen to older music. Like there's a few songs that I have now, but you know how back in the days, like you always knew what was like on right now. Like everybody kind of was listening to the new stuff at the same time. And it was just like you were immersed in all these different worlds and you were constantly like Hot 97 was just like lit. You know, you would turn on the radio and you would hear something you never heard before. I feel like now it's like you hear the same, it's almost like they're pushing the same 5 people into your...
Like it was like that when he was growing up though.
Was it?
Yeah, well, T-Pain was on the radio literally every fucking 5 minutes.
Well, I also live down south and it's completely different.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
They
different.
put new artists on all the time.
Yeah, we didn't have. Well, I mean, they had like an hour for that too here, but mostly you heard the same 10 tracks
Maybe I didn't
all
realize
day
it.
long on the radio. Like it's just. I'm not saying that like, and I don't want to be that dude that says like, oh, today's music, this, that, and the other, because I feel like there is some good shit out here. When I do take the time and listen, I don't remember names because I'm not invested in them yet, but I do hear like, okay, this is some dope shit. But I just feel like. So with that video, like put that TikTok on, like that video with Joe Budden saying that rap is dead. I disagree.
I think it's because lyricism had died.
I don't think that's the truth though,
No?
because I don't think that's the truth at all. I just feel like we should stop. I feel like older people,
new music. Oh Lord,
yeah. I feel like older people need to like let the new DJ step in.
Right.
I ain't heard none of that.
It's like we should move on.
Yeah,
and create space for them to
now
do
let
what
me
they
say,
do.
I hit Joe earlier and was like, yo, dogs, I'm with you. I don't ever want to talk about this rap shit again.
It's over, yo.
Talking about rap is over. I don't want to talk about none of this shit no more.
That's why the rappers keep doing shit to try to get you to talk about rap. Talking about rap is over.
It just doesn't.
As opposed
it's
to
not a system that makes sense.
I said it last pod. They don't give a fuck about the music and the art.
Yeah.
Why I'm gonna keep fucking giving a fuck about talking about it.
That's creating something different.
It's like you're never.
I'll come in here and talk about how you think.
You're never gonna get the approval of these OG DJs because their standard is something else. It's not even on a different level as far as like, oh, this is this good,
right,
and the new music is this bad or
right,
this good. It's just totally different standards.
Okay.
So they're still in these positions where it's like they're expecting to critique and judge their type of music, and it's, bro, that's not what it is anymore.
It's evolved. It's evolved into something different.
You
I
need
think
to have different DJs now. Like that's what it is.
Sense.
There
That's
was this other video that I thought was pretty cool that I found on TikTok.
Okay.
We named 2. No, rap's done. Like we have to let it go. Like it's over.
What do you mean?
No. Please elaborate, bro. What do you mean, man? Seriously, like, and this is not just even just a rap thing, but like just like the cultures as we know it. Like a lot of it is done. Rap is done as we know it. The preservation of it. Again, now there's no gatekeeping. It's controlled by 13-year-old white kids on fucking SoundCloud and TikTok
and big brands.
And big brands. It's done. That's the antithesis of what rap was supposed to be. Rap is done.
So what is this new shit?
It's done. We all wear the same clothes. We all dress alike. Like it's
Justice really over here. He's just opening the wound right now.
it's done. It's done. We gotta let it go.
I don't think it's too big to control now.
Yeah, yes. This is the moment where rock and roll died and something else had to be birthed. This is the moment. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that thought, and I didn't let it take hold because it's scary as hell. But because I mean, look, we named two.
No, rap's done.
I agree to an extent. Rap as we know it is done. I don't think we're not gonna have any more Joe Buttons, and we're not gonna have no more 50s.
Jay-Z's gone.
Jay-Z's Jay-Z will drop still music, but it's just not. It's not the wave no more. It's like we've heard the story so many different times. Like, how many times is a nigga from the streets that ain't got it, had, hustle, cook it up, put it into this, and now he's a rap star. Like, that story has been played out to the point where it's been movies, it's been cinematized, it's been in video games, it's been done so many times where it's like, bro, like, we know the story already. We get it. That's no longer it's like, and I'm not saying rap is dead. I'm saying, like, well, yes, maybe if you want to call that rap, but hip hop is it's going to evolve. It's more pop now. It's hip hop.
So that's like he said with the rock, how rock music kind of fizzled out and it turned into like punk. It turned into punk rock. It turned into like it evolved. So I do feel like rap as we know it, like you said, is dead. Like the stories have been told, but I think the stories become repetitive. Like even if you listen to like NBA Youngboy, that's why people like him. Like that's why some kids like him, or why even like somebody like YSL went down because of they're telling their story. So I think
Lloyd Banks just dropped the album last month.
Really?
Nobody is talking about it.
He did.
He dropped the album last month.
I kind of like the joint he has with Jadakiss. I thought that
shit was dope. This shit is dope, but I'm telling you, it's only going to cater
to a certain audience,
to the nostalgic folks, the people that crave that, which is fine. But to expect that to keep going in the same direction, like just like you said, bro, we gotta start looking ahead. The only person I can see dropping an album right now is the big ones. It's Kendrick, Kanye, Drake. And those are always going to get listened to, but it's always going to be, it's not old Kendrick. It's not old Kanye. It's not old Drake. It's the shit that it's like rap alternative. Like Drake, not Drake, Kanye not rapping like how he used to before. He on some different shit.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's crazy that you said that because like, this is the first time ever listening to Kanye and being like, yo, that was whack. But I love Kanye.
Exactly.
And it's like I never experienced like listening to Kanye and it was a whack verse. Now it's almost like he's just bored with being.
What is it to talk about?
Just the best.
Who's he competing with?
Yeah, he's just bored. I think after my Dark Twisted Fantasy, he said I made the perfect album. And it's like he doesn't want to make the perfect album anymore. Now he wants to like disrupt the culture.
Exactly.
And look for new like pockets in the culture that he can explore.
I agree. I think, the last time I saw rappers get shaken, like, hey, put your boots back on and like get the pen to the pad, is when Kendrick Lamar made that song with Jay Electronica. When he started naming other, he's like, that was murder you niggas.
Big Sean's song.
Yeah. Was it Big Sean?
Yeah, it was Big Sean's song called Control.
Control. Yeah. So it was like that was the last time rappers was like, oh, word, let me show you what I can do now. After that happened, it just kind of like slowly went downhill. Like nobody's trying to be better than the best MC anymore. I feel like it's played out. So
it's not. I think it's just evolved because it's now like characters. Like it's caricatures of people. You get what I'm saying? It's like exaggerated sound.
It's going back to how like it was before, honestly, with music.
You
like,
think so?
Michael Jackson was a character. Prince was a character. James Brown was a character.
They were, but I feel like they were more channeling an energy that was from a different kind of depth.
Of course, it's because
Michael Jackson's Michael Jackson. That's his name.
I get it.
Prince was like, I understand, like James Brown. Like I feel like it was more of a almost like a spiritual experience when it was like James Brown, Michael Jackson, and then the spiritual experience turned into a persona of the experience. And now it's kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. It feels like a exaggerated caricature of the experience. I mean, because we have like, and it's more like expressive in ways that we haven't seen before. So I think for the older generation, it kind of fucks with you because you've never like, it's like, why do all these kids have pink hair? Why are they all wearing, why they all got dressed? Why are they all this? They have a different experience than we have.
Exactly.
So we may not be able to understand what's out right now. And I think it's a natural thing for things to evolve and for the older generation to not understand it. But like you said, they're kind of like, appreciate it for what it is and just kind of like, it's like, okay, this is what they're doing. You don't have to understand it to say that, you know what, this may not be for us.
Exactly.
And that's okay. That doesn't mean, I do think that rap on the level of like the heavy intellectual lyricism, like we see that with Kendrick, we see that sometimes, but I think it's more about expressing a feeling and a concept and an idea. It's more about a visual expression of something and
it's more, I feel like it's more artsy.
It's that's what I'm saying. It's a little more like I don't know how to say it.
Almost like a theme.
Right. It's almost like when I hear it, a lot of times when I hear, especially like the young, because I said I have a 15-year-old son, he listens to a lot of it. It sounds like a cry for something, like a cry for acceptance, a cry for understanding. If you listen to like the lyrics of a lot of these young men, they're going through something as a collective. Like that generation, what is it, Gen X, Gen Z, and down, they're having a different experience. They're like, their lives aren't like our lives. Exactly. Like they went through quarantine. They went through a lot of the things that we haven't experienced. So I think that it's going to look different, like naturally. It's just going to look different. So to us, rap is dead. The intellectual, our rap is dead. Like the level of the lyricism has gone down.
It's funny because just the other day I heard who was it? It was somebody was just saying, somebody famous was like, R&B is dead. Like it's
Puff Daddy said it.
Yeah, Puff Daddy. Yeah, it was Puff. Like it's Puff.
It is.
It's true that the people, and I get it. Music is something that's like, I think it's a universal language that's a part of all our lives. And to find like a genre that held so much weight throughout the years of our lives kind of hurts. So I feel like people get upset and they kind of go into defensive modes because these rappers nowadays is like, and it's not
get
quite,
over
bro.
it.
Like, get over it.
We have streaming.
Like, stop.
Download your old shit.
Exactly.
Listen to it,
or
whatever.
make some new old shit if that's what you want to hear. But at the end of the day, music is not going anywhere, bro. Like, music is like, it's still hip hop oriented. It's just a different wave. It's just
like if hip hop had a baby with punk rock.
Exactly. And not even just that. It's also
hip-hop.
like, you got to understand these other subcultures that are like huge and a lot of, and I'm kind of, I actually like it because it's like, it's like an anime. A lot of them have like an anime touch to it where it's like, these kids are watching anime. They play video games and they do this, and it's like they combine it all in their music, and it's just like, that's interesting. This is something that we would never have done when we were kids.
It's funny you say that because the first time I ever heard Lil Uzi Vert,
that nigga is an anime character.
I was like, where was this when I was that age?
Exactly. I fuck with Uzi.
I appreciate, even if I do agree that the rap as we know it is dead.
Yeah.
Like, we can just lay it to rest
but that's
and
fine.
just keep recycling it. I feel like it won't go anywhere because of the innovation of the internet.
Exactly.
So it's not going anywhere. Relax. You don't understand this shit now. Mm-hmm. But the inner child in me, the inner teen in me, I fucks with this shit.
Yeah,
I love, like, I'm a Naruto anime.
Yeah.
Like, I love all that shit.
I fuck with it.
I love all that shit. So when I see it, it's just like, I'm almost like they get to do what we didn't.
Exactly.
They get to. I don't have to be the cool kid.
Exactly.
I can be weird. So I appreciate it for what it is, even if it may not sometimes feel like it's not for me. That's okay.
Rap sounds like how, to me, rap sounds like how reggae used to sound like old dub reggae, because you know how like in old reggae songs they used to like chant.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really like a verse. It was just them saying the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And it was like them chanting, one thing Nancy can, or like, wait no man. Oh, that's a gone. Wait no man. Oh, no think we did done. And then they're saying the same thing over and over. And it's like 4 bars, then the next 4 bars, then the same 4 bars and the other 4 bars. And it's the same variations. Yeah, it's different variations. So
then it's evolved.
Of the same
that's a Playboy Cardi song.
Yeah,
like fucking your bitch, fucking your bitch, and she love me, and then she just, and then it goes back and forth and back and forth, and the whole song is an energy of how he felt.
And that's cool.
But reggae wasn't. They're not like, oh, you're not speaking about
simplicity. It's more about expression and simplicity.
Now
the simplicity of expression. It's not. It don't have to be that deep, but it's if you listen to it, it's deep. If you listen to the stuff,
I don't know about that.
Some of the stuff, if you really listen to it, I didn't say all of it, some of it. If you listen to it, it's deep. But it comes off extremely simple because it's being repetitive. But think about how potent something repetitive is.
It's kind of programming. I ain't gonna lie. It's kind of brainwashing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really brainwashing. It's like they're trying to program a certain narrative in your head.
Or what if they're it's almost like, okay, you know how like when people do what's it called? They're protesting. Yeah. We want, and they're just repeating. What if that's what it is? Because I'm telling you, I've listened to some of this stuff and it's just like a cry for something. I'm not sure what it is.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of feel like, you remember when like we were kids in high school and we just knew like, so you buy Jordans, right? And you got the throwback jersey and your mom sees your outfit and she's like, okay, I got you this because I see it like that. And she bought you some like Jumpman shit. She just doesn't get it. But she's like, yeah, this is what they wear. You got to make sure like, I feel like.
And that's not it.
We're not going to get the entire essence because we're not in it.
It's not for us.
It's not for us. You know what I mean?
It's not for us.
It's like trying to like understand like why a gay man, what a gay man sees in another man. It's like you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
You just know that like there's something there.
You can clap your hands and say, "Good for them.
Keep going.
Good for them." I hope that it evolves even more into something that is just. That speaks to who they are.
Exactly. And that's fine.
All, because I think that's what our music was. Like we were a little bit more cooler, a little bit more laid back. And then it like evolved. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Now it's kind of like righty.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it's
like
just,
a little rebellious side of them trying to like come out.
I hate to bring astrology into this.
Go ahead.
But we are a different generation. They are Pluto and Sagittarius. They're meant to expand what was already put in place. Our generation was transforming something that was put in place. We like killed one thing and we like how we did remixes. We would take and sampling. We would take old samples and kind of reinterpolate them into our own expression.
There?
Remixes?
The ones that are coming out now, they're just literally taking the song and remaking it. And it's not a remix because I'm about to say it's not a true remix as we know it. They're just using.
But remixes didn't change in our generation.
But think about what I'm saying.
No, we have remixes.
It changed though. Remember, remixes used to be like a nigga would add a verse on it. And then remixes started changing.
The beat would change. There's 2 different versions of "I Need a Girl."
Before the whole song would change.
Did he?
And then in our generation, the remix was a nigga just hopping on
the verse. Yeah.
Right.
And now it's just taking a song that already was,
but they
putting a whole new song, everything on it.
They don't call it a remix.
Yeah, they don't call it a remix. It's just a song. It's a song.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of is when I used to watch wrestling, and it was like The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Mankind, and all these titans, and then you go back and like you flip around and you see wrestling, there's a bunch of like
you don't know who the fuck is
you don't know who is who, and their characters aren't as potent.
That's what it feels like.
It's like that's like the Undertaker was so potent and different, and it's like Vince McMahon stopped and conceptualized all of these characters to where they're almost like Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Like they were so on point with like
they also were kind of
gimmicks
too, bro.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But so the thing is though, what I want to say with that is that could just be from our eyes. Because think about it, bro. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I know this is gonna probably like be an unpopular opinion, but when I think of like Macho Man Randy Savage, and I think about the $1 Million Man, and I think about the Ultimate Warrior, I'm kind of like I saw them a little bit when I was a kid, like I'm almost like a baby, but I just like they ain't got shit on The Rock, Stone Cold, and you know what I mean. That wasn't my generation, but I'm sure somebody in that generation would be
my
like,
little brother.
These niggas, The Rock, Stone Cold, The Rock is his name.
Well,
what
they
about
don't
Ultimate
even know.
Warrior? You know what I mean?
You got to remember too. Is we were watching WWF. They call it the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And
now
it was
WCW.
WWE.
Now it's
So-
WCW.
But now,
It is?
like the Attitude Era was different in wrestling than any other like generation or ever.
I would agree. It was potent. Jerry Springer for men, or
it was a lot of I don't know. It was just like it was potent when it came to stylish expression.
Yeah.
Like the Kane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kane and like just all these characters were so like in their bag. You know what I mean? Two characters weren't alike. It was like the same thing when you look at rap, and it was like the Titans.
Yeah.
You know
But you don't think that people back that would like the $1 Million Man and shit would think the same thing about their generation versus ours?
No, because in the I think maybe the generation before us in wrestling, they had better quote unquote characters, you know, to where it was almost I look at it like these were characters of a Broadway play or something. Like you look at Hulkamania and you see brother, you know, and then you'll have Stone Cold, like he's smashing beers and drinking them and like, all right, and I'm gonna go in my pickup truck and I'll whoop your ass. And he was like, you know what? And you just start whooping your ass. It was just real rude. And like I watched the clips of The Rock now, and this nigga, like he was real disrespectful. It was raunchy. It was like a real raunchy like generation, like to get into like D-Generation X, them doing the whole suck it thing.
That was my shit.
And now they had kids all over the world doing suck it.
And how many times was like school wrestling?
You can't do that. You can suck it.
Things are PC now.
Look at boy saying suck it.
Nah, nowadays I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna say this generation. The people of this time are fucking soft.
Well,
nobody can say anything. Everything is like overly corrected. Like I used to consider myself to be like a leftist, but or just a progressive. But I can't even.
So think about it.
I can't even co-sign with that anymore.
I feel like
that's the reason why a lot of
like when we were in school, right? When we were in school, how many gay kids do you remember in school?
5
2 or 3.
Like 2 or 3?
And whatever that.
Don't say their names.
I remember at least 5 of them.
Ooh, damn,
and
crazy.
I think that they it was a time where you knew they were, but they wouldn't outwardly.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't say it. They might call you like an F word or something like that. But it was just like it wasn't as flamboyant and as outwardly expressive as it was now.
Now there's a lot.
It's like everyone.
Oh, you mean like so? Okay, so your question is basically who was like openly gay?
I'm saying like if you compare the generation of when we were
now
going
it's an extreme.
Yeah, now there's a bunch of gay kids.
So that's why I said,
and like arguably kids that probably aren't. You know, just going with a certain.
It's
narrative.
It's funny that you said that because I was watching. I mean, lately I've been watching this guy called. His name is Destiny. I don't know, it's a strange name, but he's basically a debater. He's like the debate bros. It's like he has a YouTube channel where basically all they do is debate, basically pretty controversial topics and finding the logic in between it. And I ain't gonna lie, the dude is on point with his debating. And they were talking about like basically the dangers of like what they're doing with trans culture and LGBTQ culture, basically trying to make it kind of like selling it to be cool for kids. how they were talking about how like what is gonna happen when like certain kids like that want the operation early and later on want to reverse it. And
that's what bothers me about it. But I also feel like it's something that's happening. Like I call it the pendulum effect. Like it's like the pendulum has to swing both ways. So we had like a few generations behind us. You couldn't say that shit at all. Like you would get stoned, you would get killed. People like it was just like a blatant like no. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it kind of went to the opposite way. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to naturally come back to the middle. I feel like everything's going, like I said, it's the Pluto and Sagittarius generation that goes to the extreme. They expand on everything. And I think what happens is you kind of can see we talked about this plenty of times before. You can see, it's like, how do we fuck something up? How do we take it so far where it's like, maybe we need to rethink this? So I think that it's just come to a point where they're like, we won't be quieted no more. So now it's become like a thing. And, I see a lot of kids who are just, there's a stage of development where you're sexually curious and you don't really understand it, but you're exploring it. So I think they're reaching those kind of kids and they're almost implanting the idea that maybe you are, because you don't know this is what you are. So people are kind of just going with it because it's the extreme. And I just think that's the time we're in, is where everything's to the extreme. You tried to shut us down before, we're going to do it now and nobody's going to, everything's just going from like super conservative to super liberal. Yeah. So it has to you have to explore all of it to kind of know how to come back to this like middle ground where it's like, okay, we are tolerant of those who are, and it's okay if you're not.
Yeah, and Jordan Peterson kind of said something that made sense to me. It's like, we know what it looks like to go too far on the right.
Exactly.
Like where it's like it's racist, overly racist, supremacy type thing, and we know what to do with those type of people. Right. We've never seen what it looks like when it goes too far left. Exactly. And now we're seeing it. And I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like it's. I don't know if I'm like a libertarian or I don't even want to claim any groups because I'm just so tired of tribe-minded and hive-minded people. It's just like, if I subscribe to one idea, it means I have to subscribe to the whole ideology. Like, I agree that men and women are biologically just different and we have different things, components to us that build up different desires and things like that. Now you can take that as like, he's a red pill kind of guy. Now he's the type of guy that just that thinks that men are better because that's what this person. I don't want to join any group because it seems like you can't have just like gray areas of logic, and it's kind of like I don't know what's wrong with people that know it doesn't. It seems like nobody wants to pay attention to like, there are situations where things are a little bit harder to like.
Because we lost our individuality. We're not individuals anymore. I think that we have lost the importance of what it means to be you and making that up on your own and not being, kind of like taking a broad view of what's going on now, kind of like, and adjusting it to how it fits you. I think everybody's in this there's this
kind of think there's
like a whole bunch of what I'm saying, yeah, exactly, there's a whole bunch of groups of collectives, like everybody wants to belong, like everybody feels wants like
they're that person,
right? So it's like there's this I don't know, it's like a distortion in the collective where there's a bunch of different collectives, and it's like if you want to belong to something, if you think like us, then you belong to us. There's no, you know what, I agree with that, but that's individuality. An individual has no place. Like the individual creates a collective.
Maybe that's what the problem I have with them is like the ideology of a lot of leftists or progressive people are kind of conflicting. It's almost like, I identify as this, or I see things this, or this is how I view things. I don't do it like that here. But then it's just like, y'all all are repeating, y'all have an echo chamber surrounded y'all. Like y'all are saying the same shit.
Regurgitating.
You're just regurgitating shit. and like haven't even like had a real thought at whatever a real like taking your own individual self thought into whatever like certain issues are. Like for instance, like Donald Trump. I don't like Donald Trump as a person. I'm pretty sure there has to be something he has done that was good or had a silver lining effect in America. But nobody that like if for me to even say that is like, oh, so you on that side. So you
no.
I'm not,
I don't think it's as linear as we think. I think most people, I don't have statistics for it, but I just feel, in my opinion, most people don't know who they are. You know, they have an idea of who they are, but a lot of people, I don't think they really developed like the habit of like getting used to themselves and like really having self-awareness.
Exploring themselves.
So when you think about it, there's different groups and different pockets of thoughts, and people's identity, like, and the same thing happens with music. People's identity just matches with the thoughts that complement the identity, right? So say if let's take it a music term. Say if I'm a gangster on the block, right? And I see certain kids listen to Tyler the Creator, certain kids listen to Drake, certain kids listen to 50 Cent and 21 Savage. For me to assume my identity and keep my identity, I need to listen to 21 Savage and 50 Cent, but I like Tyler the Creator's music, you know? So it's like people, what I'm trying to say, people will
try to box you in.
People will join these cliques. People will join these groups.
Cults.
These, just to assimilate part of their identity, because this is the person that I want to see when I look in the mirror, but it's not necessarily the ideas that I believe.
And that's corny to me, bro.
So it is. So it's like when you think about the Trump supporters, right? Or if you think about all those different pockets of people that you were thinking about, a lot of those people probably haven't really developed the information to really coincide with that group and the knowledge behind the group, but they're like, this is who I am, so I have to believe in that. I have to listen to that so I can form this avatar of myself.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna keep here. Humbly, I definitely, especially with the Trump and Barack transition, I found myself to be getting. So let me step back. I find myself to noticing that people are more invested in the emotional biases rather than the truth, and I found myself to be in that group around 20, whenever fucking Trump got elected. I started to like look at people as enemies because they were voting for Trump or siding with the people that like Trump. And I started to realize like, yo, nothing I say is going to matter, because I'll say, well, what about A? They're going to say, well, what about B? A is not getting addressed and neither is B getting addressed, because we're both just saying our points. Nobody's trying to hear each other. So in the end of the day, I've been lately trying to like watch things that purposely make me uncomfortable and find the logic in it. I've been like, for instance, there was a debate I watched where this guy was talking about white grievances and how like it's almost acceptable to be racist towards white people nowadays. And they tried to argue against him, saying, well, what does it actually affect? How does it actually affect you in the world? Like, you're not going to lose your job. You're not going to do this thing. So do that. And they were trying to like downplay it. But I'm like, yo, think about it, bro. Like, if you are a white man in this world and you just have to deal with like your being white as shame, how would you feel? That's going to fester and develop into hatred towards other people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
but don't you think that's what I feel like it's just like becoming the monster who created you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're kind of crazy. We're crazy to have dealt with that all of our lives and generations and our grandparents, to think that we're going to go ahead and do it back and be like, nothing's going to happen after this. Nothing bad going to come of this. Like,
but that's what happens.
The only thing too about that is there's like different taboos and underground nuances. Underground nuances when it comes to racism.
Of course,
right?
I'm not
there's things that I try to explain to my white friends, and these are like boundaries and blockages of like social interaction, and they're never going to see it. And I can't tell if they're just saying that they don't see it, or they really don't see it. You know, so it's like we can never get to open conversation if the other party is always like, I don't see an argument with that to even have the conversation.
And I totally agree with you. So please don't take it. And this is what I'm talking about. So now imagine like I say this and I go on a whole campaign, not campaign, but like just a whole rant talking about why like what we're doing to white grievances is wrong. Imagine people that were like supporting me or us. They're like, oh yeah, he speaks truth about, you know, black and minority issues. And then I start to, that doesn't coincide with our rhetoric.
Right.
So now we don't fuck with you because you're saying something that is not in line with what we're talking about.
Right.
All I'm saying is I understand I'm a black man. I know there's a lot of bullshit and systemic racism that's lined up against us. But I'm thinking more so in a sense where like, yo, if we want some type of improvement, I don't have the answer, but I do feel like repeating, like I'm not saying we should be I guess I am kind of saying we should be a bigger person or be a little bit more understanding when it comes to like Charlemagne, for instance. There was a time when Dustin was on the show and we was talking to him about it and I didn't see what he was saying. Charlemagne needs to tone it down because what he's doing is he's making it all right to like shit on. He's making it all right to do what we don't want to be done for us. And at what point is it okay? What point is it a line where we got to, all right, look, that's not okay. You know what I mean?
I think there has to be, like, I have a white friend and we worked in the same office together. And it would just be me and her. And she's a white girl. And she, like you said, kind of the same white grievances thing. She felt a lot of shame because she was in the building full of black people and it was a whole new world for her. Mm-hmm. And she didn't understand why people treated her a certain way, why they would talk to her a certain way. And she did up until a point. But at the same time, she understood that she didn't like racism. She wasn't racist and she embraced cultures, or she at least tried to understand them. Mm-hmm. So me and her would have these conversations, and I think it takes almost like a middle ground between both. It's like having a person who is open to say, I don't get that, but I'm willing to learn how to understand
somebody that's willing to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I respect that.
And it's just like, she used to be very uncomfortable, but she also understood, like, when it came to everyone getting the COVID shot. She was ready to get it, but she understood why half of the building wasn't.
Yeah, because we got
I
shots,
feel like it's gonna take a lot more people who show up as allies and who are willing to have uncomfortable conversations where they can hear, this is what we have seen, and not everyone's like that. I think it's when you lump everyone into that without giving them a fair chance to see who they are as an individual.
I think it's a little more multi-layered and it's not as linear, because we have it, like, you have certain layers. You have racism, then you'll have colorism, then you have like classism, mm-hmm. right? So
we're just gonna throw prejudice out the window.
I'm saying it's not only just a conversation with white people. Like, being white is like a blanket that America threw over all of fair-skinned people. Yeah. So, like, if you go outside the country and you tell somebody, oh, I'm white, they're like, what are you talking about? You're American, mm-hmm. right? It's like, are you Russian? Are you Polish? Are you Italian?
Yeah,
but now in America, it's just everybody is just white. Yeah. So now when you talk about colorism, you have Dominicans that are light skinned and dark skinned, and they have a classism problem. Yeah. Then you'll have black people, light skin and dark skin. You have Jamaicans bleaching themselves because of light skin, dark skin type shit. So it's like, okay, we're talking about white grievances, but it's when it's a multi-layered problem, it's not only directed at white people. Yeah. It's a problem that everybody has together.
Exactly.
Because it is colorism. It's people just a lot of people just don't like the dark complexion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we could tell Charlemagne to stop saying that, but it doesn't even touch the scratch the surface of the root of the problem.
I get that. So here's, but I'm not. This is so. When I say these things, it's almost like me saying, I feel like at this today and date, we're at a point where we're getting a lot more awareness in these things, like just how you broke down the nuances of racism, this colorism, and everything, prejudices, and all these things. I feel like we're getting a lot of awareness to it, and I don't know that it's gonna get better, but I feel like it's going in a better direction. With that being said, it's almost when I bring up the white grievances, it's like they're gonna be racist. I'm not saying let's be nice to the racists. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about like it's almost like sportsmanship. I hate to compare it like this, but because it's the weight of the subject. But when you win the championship, right? Not saying that we won, but when we win the championship, like let's not show some good sportsmanship. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what about when you hear Charlemagne talking about mayonnaise, cracker eating, crack this, that, and the other? What does the white ally that we have feel like when he hears that?
But I think
how long is he going to remain our ally hearing that all day, over and over?
I think they would understand, because I've seen a lot of like TikToks talking about that, and they get why we're mad. This isn't just we're talking bad about a group of people because we're talking bad. But there is situations where that happens. But there's generational pain, torture, and like circumstantial things that have happened to us repeatedly, that even if we have those conversations, there's certain things that aren't going to stop. So it's deeper than just having allies. The allies have to understand the pain that these places come from. A black person saying cracker or saying that shit comes from somewhere deep inside that feels pain.
I get that, but I just can't. I don't feel like there's any justification for a wrong.
There doesn't have to be justification. What I'm saying is there has to be education on where this pain comes from. Yes, as African Americans, black people, we need to work on ourselves and get to a place where we can at least hear someone who considers themselves an ally.
And that's all I'm saying.
What I'm saying is it's gonna take a lot more than that, because you can have allies, but there's a system. There's a system in place that's gonna consistently remind us and put us back into that place. It doesn't matter if we have allies. It doesn't matter if we have conversation. There's a systematic thing when you go to jobs, when you go to an interview, the cops. Like there's all these things in place that will consistently remind you. An ally may not always be able to help you. It has to go deeper than that.
Before you go further, just let me summarize. So what you're saying in a nutshell is, before we start taking accountability for how we put whites under, or even just fairer skinned people or privileged people under an umbrella, before we stop putting them under an umbrella, we have to get something first? No,
what I'm saying is we will always need to check ourselves first. We will always need to check our biases first. But what I am saying is that even if we do that, like there are black people who understand that. There are black people who do not approach people like that.
And this message is not for them.
But what I'm saying is that same black person can be in a position where it doesn't matter if he sees the cop and he's like, I'm not an enemy.
I am aware.
That's what I'm saying.
Is
that we can be allies, because I have white friends that I can have those conversations with. I'm not lumping all of them in until their behavior or their actions say that that's where they are. However, it doesn't matter if I'm pulled over by a cop because I'm brown. I can still feel that way. I can still have these allies, but the ally is no help if this system that's put in place that reminds us all that this is what it is.
And I get that. I'm not. I feel like that's something we can do.
We can do that, and I think black people are really good at doing that. I don't think all black. I think that there's some people.
There's a lot of ignorance.
but there will always be ignorance. Just
everywhere.
like just like
just
there's
black culture. There's a lot of ignorance.
just like we have allies who are other races, especially white people. Like I said, I see a lot of them just making TikToks is like, y'all, white people are mad and they're calling each other out. But as much as they can call each other out, they can't change the system. So it's going to take us who have worked on that, the allies who have worked on that, to be in places where we can stop it. When the government who runs us all in America sees it that way, then things will actually change. I think there are people who do think the way you think. I think there are more, especially now with this new generation, they're calling their family members out. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that what you're saying has already happened.
I don't think it's already happened.
I think it's happening. I think it is.
If it's going in a better direction, great. Hopefully it gets there, but it's clearly not, because there's been times recently where like people will be shouting out Black Lives Matter and just be like saying things like kill all white people. Like there's people that posted on TikTok, there's people that posted shit on Twitter.
Yeah, that
like
shit is
Black Twitter, you can say anything on Twitter and be like, hey, all white people should die. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
No, it's not. It's not okay.
I get what you're saying, but we also have to remember that certain things are almost at this point are systematic and set in stone.
That's what I'm saying.
It's almost like social programming. You gotta remember like Jim Crow, like the Jim Crow era.
I know all about that.
Yeah, so the Jim Crow era was literally programming America to
look at black people as subhuman.
So it's not even time
not even black people, but the black skin color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now like
those people are
to really try to reverse all of that funding that was put into and all of that influence that was put into a whole generation, to really try to reverse that. Look at like the genetically modified babies and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like people would rather, there's nothing wrong with short people. Nothing wrong with tall people. People are just people. But just like how people would rather tall people get genetically modified babies and would rather light-skinned babies, light-colored eyes and things like that. But I'm saying it's like certain things are set in stone.
I think
but see, that's the thing though. I don't believe that. So look, for instance, I don't believe the set in stone of saying is okay is a thing. I feel like we need to be the people that we are, but higher. You know what I mean? We higher vibration. You know what I mean? I'm not here like advocating nothing against white people, but I'm not here to be like the white savior. That's not what my goal is. My goal is more so like, hey, bro, we're black, and us as a people have triumphed through so much bullshit in life. I don't want to see us stooping down to little white. I don't want to be that type of person.
You're right. You're completely right. But then there needs to be reverse programming. Everybody is already programmed to think a certain way. Just like the thing about the YouTube video with them holding the white baby and the black baby. What is the bad baby? And it's always
I saw that, yeah.
And they point to the black baby. Mm-hmm. These are things that were so embedded in our heads through media and programming that we just can't change it now.
But,
I think I think it's a generational thing.
You're talking about the programming of how we look at darker skinned people. I understand that. I'm 100% agreeing with you. I know that exists. I know they have done it. I know it's a thing that we are a trauma that we're fighting against to change today.
Yeah,
I'm not against that. All I'm saying is that should not equate to be saying, well, this programming happened and it's unjust, so that's why it's okay for us to talk like this. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm not saying that I don't see this thing. I am not denouncing black struggles. I'm not taking away from it. I'm not belittling it. I'm not taking away from the significance of what they have done to us as a people. But I look at blackness as like champion. It's like we've been on this movement of black power and trying to like be better people and business owners and buy black. This should be a step as well.
So I think
You know what I mean? Like,
I watched a podcast the other day, and I think I get what you're saying, and I thought of it in a different way, but I think what you're saying is like we need to have a standard for how we conduct ourselves.
Exactly.
And I said that, like, I watched a podcast, and he was saying like we need to have a standard as Black people. Mm-hmm. We do not have a standard. We don't have a standard for our families. We don't have a standard for our marriages. We don't have a standard for our business etiquette. We don't have a financial standard. We don't have any standard. So it's hard to do that when you don't have a community, and it goes again with the collective consciousness. There needs to be a group of people who have set a standard for, as Black people, this is how we conduct ourselves. Regardless of what's going on in that world, in the world around us, in our communities, we're setting a standard for this is how we behave.
Exactly.
And I get it.
Yes,
so I agree
saying.
with what you're saying. And I never thought of it as far as race is concerned. Well, no, I guess it is race, because I felt like when we want the American dream, that's not our dream. You get, like, when we see relationships and how we choose, like I said, the like he said, the height, light eyes. I think that's more whiteness than it is who we are, and it's okay that if that's what you want. But it's like you have to look at the root where that comes from, and we need to create our own standard for how we conduct ourselves in every aspect of our lives. And there needs to be a group of people who speak that. And I think it starts with the individual, and it spreads into a community, and it spreads into a neighborhood, it spreads into a state, it spreads into the country, it spreads into the doctors, the policemen. And it needs to be something that uproots a collective that's already been set in stone, that says we don't give a fuck about anything. We just do what we want. Mm-hmm. So I think it's what you said, but it has to go so deep that it reaches a multitude of people, where it becomes the collective of this is the standard of how we behave regardless of what's going on. We're setting a new way of how, as we see ourselves as Black people, we know we're Black people when we go into the world with Black people, but this is how we act.
And also, I just want to say real quick, my fault. I know you want to say something, SJ. I don't want to sit here and talk like I'm holier than thou. I have been guilty of saying stupid shit about other races, like not in a hateful way, but like, oh, that's some white shit. I've been guilty of it. So it's some reprogramming that I need to do for myself as well. It's just something that I don't know. Like, I could be like, I'm not trying to like social justice warrior this shit, because I feel like this whole fucking world is extra soft, booty butt tissue soft nowadays. And I get jokes be jokes. Jokes is whatever. I'm not saying like we should be out here, and we don't say that because that's not nice. I don't. That's not what I mean. I mean the mentality. I'm just trying to. I just want to be better. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to grow. And like lately, I just been on this thing watching like very uncomfortable things. I don't want to watch everything that I agree with. I don't want to watch I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I want to see conflicting thoughts and why people think the way they think without just arguing to their biases. Like, I just want to have a discussion where we can all just. And I get it. Maybe it's some fucking utopia that I'm thinking of that just can't happen. Beautiful, though. But I'm not gonna stop trying. You know what I mean? Like, what at what point do we just?
That's how people change the world.
And I hope I can.
I think it takes people who think like you, and I think we would call it radical. Like, we need more people who are, and I don't mean to like separate ourselves, but I think we do need to separate ourselves and take a look at ourselves and look at generally how we need to be better as people. And I think when we look at education, when we look at mothers and fathers and how we raise our kids, I agree with you. I agree with you that there needs to be like an inward look at the Black community as a whole, mm-hmm. and that we need to make some changes, not for the sake of anyone else, but for our longevity.
Yeah, in a sense.
I mean,
I feel like for the sake of everybody.
But it is for the sake of everybody, but it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
If we change ourselves as a collective and we start doing that and we create these communities, I feel like there's a ripple effect that happens. It's like as we gradually change, the whole world kind of like will go along with, not go along with it, but it's just like, it just happens. It's like when you change yourself, when you're going through what you're going through and you bring it home to your family, they're like, you're crazy. Like, we don't. And now all of a sudden, like me, nobody was going to therapy before I started going to therapy. Now I'm explaining it to them and they may not always agree. But now as they step into their own worlds, they're like, oh, okay. Now it's set a ripple effect. Yeah, you may not agree, but we're planting what you're doing, what I'm doing. We're planting the seeds for change. And I think realistically, you may not see those changes in this generation, but you raise your family like that. You talk to your friends like that.
And it'll keep growing.
When you plant a seed for a tree, you may not never see that tree grow into the tree that it's gonna become. Yeah.
So I think we're like having a couple different conversations, right? Because when we talk about the white grievances thing, right? That's why I brought up my points. You know, me bringing up my points were really about saying that we're not socially dominant because it's been like that systematically, and it's almost like we're tired of being bullied, and that's how it comes out. And I know that doesn't solve the problem, but at this point in the future, we're in 2022. That's why the other side is gonna feel that way in the situation. And you know, not everybody's racist. There's millions upon millions of righteous white people all over the world that done help me out, get to the next level, help you out. Like, exactly, we understand that. But I'm trying to say that certain ideas and ideals are indoctrinated into our culture. And it's not linear at all, and we have to peel back and we have to understand certain dynamics within culture and economics and just like everything before we really can like have good quote unquote sportsmanship as two equal teams on the same playing field. In order for us to we don't even have home court advantage.
So basically, the ball's in their court is what you say.
Yeah, and that's I think that's like the most messed up part is like I know you guys are from like your family your family originated in Jamaica. I'm from here. I don't know where my family comes from. I know they come from here for the most part. Like I'm American. So to be at home, to be somewhere that I can't escape and not have the chances because of systematically they're against me, I'm gonna be angry. And I think that before you get to the truth, you have to get angry. I think that both of you are right, that it's not linear. It's something a lot deeper. And I think that it does start on an individual basis. And I think that it can't just be us that wants to make those changes. It can't be just us who rallies up the troops. We've been fighting this fight for a really long time. Like we have civil rights. They fought for the right. Like in school, you learn, like as a Black kid, the first thing you learn about yourselves is that you were brought here as slaves. And half of that isn't true. Then you learn you had to fight for your right just to be seen as a human. And so I feel like there's a lot of things that need to be justified and taught before idealization like yours, Gino, can fully be seen as something that we need to do. There's just a lot of like deeper things that need to be adjusted and taken care of and understood before we can really move forward progressively as a whole. Like individually, that can happen. But
you got to think about it too, right? A lot of white people on the other side just look at it as, hey, that's the way things are, right? Almost like I'm big, you're small. You know, I'm tall, you're short. That's the way it is.
I'm right, you're wrong.
It's survival of the fittest. What do you want me to do? You were born that way. I was born this way. What do you want me to do? A lot of people, a lot of white people do look at it like that.
I get that, and I just again I hear everything you're saying, and I'm not saying it's not. It doesn't have any. I just still it's not a matter of like I don't think these wrongs need to be righted. Of course they need to be righted. I just don't see the value of us
playing a role
spewing out hate. What is it doing? It's just it's almost like so a simplistic comparison. It's like the bully at school keeps pushing you into the locker. There's his friends are trying to stop him from doing it, but you still like, or his brothers are trying to stop you from doing that, but you're still egging the entire house. You know what I'm saying? Like they hit their house. You're still trying to throw bricks through the window. But some of your friends live in that house, even though the bully lives there too. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like I get what you're saying.
So like, okay, so what do you think the best way is to stop a bully?
Gotta beat that nigga's ass.
Beat his ass, yeah.
So now what are you saying? What are you saying?
Joke, calling, that's not solving anything. You think hate is gonna?
I didn't say hate is gonna solve.
But that's what I'm talking about. If we're speaking in
we've been systematically bullied.
I understand that.
How do you beat a bully?
Not like but you're taking the simplistic thing and applying it to a complex situation.
No,
like,
but it is.
We can't beat their ass with jokes and think that's gonna change.
You don't beat a bully with jokes.
Not jokes.
You stand up for yourself.
Yeah, you stand up for yourself. But like, in what way are you? What is your plan of doing that? What is the plan that you think is going to do that?
It's like I said.
I think
like
sometimes it's like the Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King. You know, Martin Luther King was looked at it like we need to be peaceful in our act.
Why do you think he did that though?
Because he had a certain way of carrying himself.
I don't think it was just about him carrying himself. I think he was very aware that hate begots hate. Fire begots fire. If you're gonna come at it like this, you're gonna create people that hate you.
I'm definitely not saying that there needs to be like some type of riot and uproar against the oppression. Because I agree with you.
I know you agree because I know you as a person.
Yeah, but what I'm really saying is like, how can you not expect these people to start lashing out after a while?
Because I don't.
We have.
Now we don't. We don't.
Let a white boy say nigga around you at the bar.
Yeah, but that's not. But I'm saying we're not.
You're gonna turn the cheek.
No, I'm gonna beat his ass, but I'm not saying
that's
not.
exactly.
No, y'all are looking like. Well, that's right. It's not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
It's not the same thing.
But you just said beat a bigger person.
It's not the same thing.
So you're gonna say
you're not hearing what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
You're saying that I'm saying you should let maybe people call you the N-word. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, let racists be racist and just deal with them this way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying let's not lump white people in a whole group and say, that's...
I think we all agree on that.
But that's what I'm saying. So why is there pushback?
So you're saying let them be the bully, but we shouldn't be the bully. We should never be the bully. Let's not stoop down to...
Aim at who you shooting at.
Let's not be the monster that created this.
Let's not generalize. Aim at who you shooting at. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, if dude want to say the N-word and want to be racist, my nigga, let's go outside. I'm cool with that. Bag him. But I'm talking about as far as matters where like groups of people saying Black Lives Matter, kill all white people. That's not the answer.
So you're talking about like extreme hatred for the whole entire race.
What I'm saying.
You're not talking about like individual. That's what I said.
Hell no.
That's what I said. It's an individual. What I'm saying is it's an individual thing. You have to have friends and people who think like that amongst a group. Like everybody's not going to be on that page because there's a lot of anger towards the race as a whole. They're not separating.
So how is that different? That answer different from what SJ just said? I'm big, you're small. How is that different? That's just the way it is.
Because you don't know what a villain is.
What you mean?
A villain is, if you look at every villain story, it originated from
somebody that created the villain for doing him wrong.
Right.
I get that.
So what I'm saying
doesn't justify.
No, it doesn't justify. What I'm saying, it goes back to my pendulum swinging. it has to go to both extremes so we can figure this out.
It does not have to.
It does. That's universal law.
It's not.
It is.
Bro, like, for instance.
You don't know universal law?
There would be no terminology called be the bigger man if that had to be that way. Oh, they in the Bible, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right? Then he changed it. I said my son so that I could stop being whatever that shit displayed. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm not saying we should take shit laying down. I'm not saying that. Whoever the enemy is, get the enemy. Cool, I'm with that. If this dude doing some racist stuff, hey man, whatever y'all want to do with that man, that's cool. I ain't got nothing to say about it. But I'm talking about aiming at the whole like the school shootings. The kid gets bullied, shoot up the whole goddamn school.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I definitely get what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that everyone who's white shouldn't have to suffer for the crimes of the general white people.
Exactly.
And I think that
especially if they are allies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That it goes back to what I said about me and my friend.
And that's why I'm saying, like, why y'all pushing back? We on the same page.
We're not pushing back. I think it was more of like, so do you allow? The question was, so it's like, do you allow people to be them without retaliating? That's where the confusion came in.
I'm a warrior, bro.
Right.
Like, I don't
so
play
you're
that
saying
shit.
people who prove to be allies, people who prove to want social justice, social reform.
And even if they don't prove it, don't assume. We shouldn't assume because the generalization is the same thing that had us in a predicament. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to hear, it shouldn't be like, you're one of the good ones. No, I'm not going to assume until I know.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, well, we should just turn the other cheek. Fuck that, nigga.
I think that's what it kind of came off
as. No. Fuck that. I'm sorry.
I think that's what it kind of came off as.
I'm not with all that bullshit. Fuck that.
Because I don't lump them in, but it's just like
I'm not saying y'all do. I'm saying there's people that do.
That's what I'm saying. But also, you'll be in a space where someone acts like an ally, and then something happens, and then it comes out.
Click, clack, bow.
I'm gonna keep it real one time, yo.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it real. And I was thinking about it, but I think I'm gonna say it. Like, I've had a lot of white friends, right? Mm-hmm. And I never had a white friend that didn't have like the aura of like basically like, nigga, I'm white. You know how hard life is? I'm white. I'm glad I'm white. This shit is hard. Like, that's on you that you're black.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's on you that you're black. That's your problem. I'm white. I got to do this. I got to pay my bills. I got to blah, blah, blah. I got to do this. Shit is hard out here. And I just got white on my side. Like, I'm not going to feel bad because I'm white. Nigga, I'm white. All right.
I've seen,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like why you want me to feel bad?
You want me to feel bad? Yeah, you want me to feel bad? Shit is hard. We in the same class, and struggling,
and they're not
writing 16-page papers to put ourselves in a better position.
They think we're on an even playing field, and life is just fucked up.
And it's just like shit is fucked up.
That's ignorance.
I understand, but what I'm really like trying to say is like, okay, we can be that. We can assume that a position, and that's really more morality. You know,
idealistic.
But is that not what we strive to be? Is the best we can?
That comes with culture.
And that's
it comes with culture.
In our culture, that's where I see it.
It comes with culture. That's where I get my morality from, my family and my culture.
So
there's certain things that I won't do, right? So, but you can't force other people.
I'm not trying to force anybody. I'm just bringing it to the table.
But that's why I said, Gino, all you can do is keep planting those seeds.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Keep being that person.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Raise your kids to be that person.
And I can denounce the behavior. And only be
around people who think like that.
I will always denounce the behavior.
Because
like even on myself, if I catch myself, that's not cool. If somebody catch me slipping, I should have did that. I'm not saying we're gonna be perfect, but I think it's something that we should actually be aware of and try to better ourselves on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Because just like Sade said that the origin of a villain story, I don't want to be the origin of some other person's villain story. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Like, pretend that like instead of it being black people, it's like Latinos and they're the ones that were slaves. And we're saying we're their allies, and out of nowhere, like, you know, you got black friends that you just kind of like casually joke about, you know, certain things with, and you're the one that's trying to help them, and matter of fact, excuse me, they got jokes that they make about other races, and you happen to hear, or not even jokes, because jokes, I feel like people shouldn't be that soft, but on some like, oh, all black people should be this, that, and the other, and you hear that, and then you go to a store, and then you getting treated differently because you're black, and then you go somewhere else, you get treated differently by the same race of people, and you're like, you know what?
Fuck them
I'm
people.
over here, man, fuck these motherfuckers, and now that nigga's on this side. It's because of you. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person to like, yo, I put a bad stain on my culture in his mind because I when he was trying to embrace me, I didn't embrace him back. You know what I mean?
But that's like I
That's
said.
all I'm
It's
saying.
a standard.
my
It's an
dude,
individual
everybody
standard.
is different. Like, I know that I have thicker skin than certain people. I know how certain people have thicker skin than me. I've been beat down all my life for being darker skinned. You get what I'm saying? I'm not, and I still have more white friends than the average black person.
I think we both do.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like you can't.
And that's why I'm not saying to you, because I know.
I know, but like I'm trying to have you like realize that it's like so multi-layered and it's not white people. It's not only white people.
It's not. It's
you
definitely
know?
Latinos
like
too. It's definitely Asians too.
You ever been in a store and they follow you around?
Of course.
And you don't have no problem with the person in there.
Course.
And you always carry yourself.
And I'm always about that action when it comes to deserving it. I'm never saying, hey, let that shit go, bro. Just turn the other cheek. It's okay. No, fuck that. You want to see an ignorant nigga, you don't get that.
The nigga here now.
Yeah, now I'm here. But what I'm saying is when the allies is around, I'm going to treat them like, yo, you the homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not finna I'm never going to make these generalizations out of respect for you. Because you showed me that there's people like you that exist.
On that note too, right? There's different levels of throwing shade. You know? There's being up front.
Yeah.
There's passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
Then you'll have like corporate level shade.
That slimy, sneaky shit.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And that all encompanies racism.
It does.
You know? People aren't like in 2022, racism is like cordial.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's not going to really go in your face and say certain things. People aren't going to be in your face and say certain things.
They're going to put out
perfect example. You dating like a Spanish girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've dated Spanish girls where they're Spanish, but they can go to work and assimilate as white, you know, and they're a white person, you know. So getting with that family and the grandmother saying that he's too dark, you know.
Should it be your own family?
And that's what, there's different levels of this whole.
I agree, and I know that exists, and I know that's some fucked up shit. I still stand on what I say.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying.
So on that note, though, fuck them people. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like I'm gonna keep it 100. I probably shouldn't share this information, but as a young kid, I had a girl, met her pops. I didn't speak Spanish at the time. I do speak Spanish now, but I found out dude like pretty much shunned her daughter and said like, yo, why would you bring this monkey to come to shake my hand?
Yeah.
I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But I also got a Puerto Rican aunt. Mm-hmm. Literally, it's my aunt. I got Puerto Rican cousins.
See?
So at the end of the day, I know that the ignorance exists on many levels. And I know it's not just white. I see them people. And when I identify them, I treat them as such. We don't par. Speak poorly, we may get violent. That's that. But as far as that, I'm just not.
You're right, because
I
get what you're saying. Because I'm not gonna carry myself to where I'm doing the same type of whatless things that I
these
say.
Whatless ass people doing.
I'm better than
that.
Yes, I have a story that's a perfect example of what you're talking about. And I had a friend, and she was my friend. Like we were cool for like a good 2-3 years. We were hanging out, and one day, like we used to go everywhere together. And one day, I think it was Christopher Columbus Day, or it was coming up, and she was like really excited because she was Italian. And I just kind of asked her a question. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so excited, Christopher Columbus Day coming up." And I just asked her a question to see if she would acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, well," she was like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, I don't celebrate." She asked me if I was celebrating Columbus Day or some shit like that. So I said to her, I was like, "Do you realize that Christopher Columbus is the reason why I don't know where I'm from?" And she was like, "Oh, that's not my problem. That's not my fault. I didn't do that." And I was like, "I'm asking you if you understood." And then we kind of like got into it, and she was just like, "Okay, yeah, I understood." But she just said it because she didn't want a problem. Further, like few days later, I'm like posting, just what I posted. It was Christopher Columbus Day. So I'm posting like just anti Christopher Columbus crap. And so she inboxed me. It was actually, that's when it kind of started, where they were like, it's Native American Day or Indigenous Day, and I'm Indigenous American. I am Indian. Like, as far as I know, that's what I am. And she was just like, "Oh, so you're gonna speak," and I didn't say anything towards white people because that's just not me. Like, I'm not like you. I'm like you. Yeah. And she was just like, "Oh, but what about my people?" And then I outwardly said, I was like, "Fuck your people," just like that. So it's like it got to the point, but then I before that it got to that situation, I did my best to give her a chance to understand where I was coming from. And once she showed she wasn't fucking with it, I said, "Fuck her." So I do get what you're saying. I think, like I said, it has to be an individual thing, because I have a whole nother friend who's just like, she's with all the shits. Yeah. She understands. And it's funny because she used to be ashamed of her whiteness. And me and my supervisor was like, "Use that shit and bring people along with you."
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like people having to walk around as subservient. What's the word?
Submissive?
Not even submissive. It's like subservient, I think is the word. Subservient to us because they want to be our allies is the answer. No. I feel like, hey man, listen, like, if you Italian, you want to have pride in your Italian people, cool. That's okay. You should be able to. I'm not going to be out, like, imagine we about to fight some niggas that's racist or something. And I'm like, "Fuck y'all white niggas," and this nigga by here by my side, like, I'm part of that. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that should happen. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
You ever be around a bunch of like people you throw into your friends and they're like, "Oh, white kids, this happened to me." And it's just like they're making jokes and you're like,
"Y'all a little too comfortable.
Y'all forgot I was here."
Y'all a little too
like
comfortable.
they thought I was one of those people that wasn't gonna say nothing. Yeah. And I remember, like, there's just been several times where like somebody was like reading something and he was like, and it was a white boy. He was just like, I'm like, "Yo, don't say that shit again." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, well, I don't give a fuck where you're from. Respect that I'm in this room and I'm not giving you a pass. Don't say that." And that's yeah. So I feel like I get where you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I truly feel like it's an individual thing, and it's something that has to grow into a collective mindset. It's just that it's at an individual standpoint, and I think that it's seeds that have to be spread. And I think it's kind of cool that we're having this conversation, because who knows that this will start to like trickle over, and hope so. People will see that.
Something about like this whole dynamic of me being a black man in America, I kind of like it. You know, it's a weird sense of like the odds is against me, and like, I think if you are a black man in America and you make over 6 figures, you're like the top, I think like 26%. Right?
That's crazy.
The top 16%.
So you're the champion of black people.
You know, and like I don't know. I think it's cool to get it from the dirt through the concrete. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then to be who you are here. And a lot of it I have to give to the fact that I was always able to assimilate within groups of white people. Like, I was able to take the information that I can take from my neighborhood and get the information from the white neighborhoods and grow
infiltration
and infiltrate and grow into certain sectors in life and become this person that I that is very well rounded and that is like doing well for themselves.
But I think that's what it's gonna take.
You can't just take
people like us infiltrating
you have
those
to know
spaces.
how to like navigate and like get with other cultures, take the information from the other cultures
gotta know how to maneuver,
bring it to your culture.
Exactly.
Like I learned a bunch of shit from just being around white kids, or a bunch of shit being around Jewish kids and shit like that.
And that's why I'm so strong against like the whole like this whole movement of like, oh, we shouldn't like we should segregate ourselves, self-segregation type shit. Like, I think that's ignorant as fuck, bro. I can't imagine who I would be today if I didn't live in Korea for 2 years.
Right.
That shit was such a fucking influential fucking experience in my life. Like, the differences, like, something as simple as, two men that are best friends, like, they be like, oh, my man, you handsome. That shit is weird to me with growing up. Like, this man just called him handsome. Like, what the fuck? And then smile, like, yo, you
I'm not gonna front. I don't know about that.
That shit is, it's not even about that I'm gonna adapt the actual saying. It's the fact that it's like, bro, this man is so comfortable with his sexuality that he's able to look at his boy like, yo, you look handsome today, bro.
But think about where the root of something like that comes from a black person, why a black person would want to retaliate and not understand that.
I get that.
Do you get what I'm saying? So
you could say, I don't know about, you could say certain words. Like if you came through fresh, Gino, if you came through fresh, and
I know you wouldn't say the specific
that's
word.
what I'm saying. If you came through fresh and like you got your shit together, I'm be like, yo,
hold on,
you should keep buying hats like that, my nigga.
No, that shit look dope.
That shit look dope.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, no, Gino, you ain't.
Hold on. Let me just
like,
explain.
I don't know.
Let me explain. I'm not saying we should be walking out here calling each other handsome. I'm just saying the fact that this man felt comfortable enough to say it blew my mind. Like it was normal.
Of course.
So much you know how much beef I got into as a kid just for poor communication?
No, but he can say to you, yo, Gino, your butt look good. And he's confident in his man to say some shit like that. Nah, he say some weird shit, man.
I'm trying to let you understand. You're trying to be on some comedic shit. Hold on. Let me just say my point. I'm just saying that, like, I, as a person born in New York in a Jamaican family, that shit, I come from a place where communication wasn't great. You as well, Sade, told me it wasn't like that. Yeah. That helped me as a grow into a man that was like, yo, you know what? Bro, I can see that you hurting. Oh, bro, I'm hurting right now. So, like, at the end of the day, excuse my response or how I'm acting right now. I'm not really in the best state of mind. I don't feel shamed in being vulnerable is basically what I'm saying.
But that's what I kind of was talking about before, is that there is some deep rooted shit that us as black people have to work on to get to there. If you think about why we're not comfortable, like if you think about this whole talk about black women being masculine and black women having the issues what they have within relationships, there's things that have been orchestrated that created these thoughts that come up in our head. And that's why I said I love what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but I think as a whole, to get everybody on that, there's some stuff that needs to be addressed.
So let's do that.
I didn't. No, that's what we're doing, nigga. That's what we're doing right here.
That's what I'm saying.
I always say that's why I love this podcast. But it's like, we got some work to do. It's like deep work to do.
And I 100% agree with you. And that's what I want to get
to that place where the individual could do that.
Exactly. We on the same page.
Yeah.
Right. With that said, that's another episode of the IC. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you send your questions to Ask Renee. Ask Sade Renee
at gmail.com.
Yo.
That should be it.
Just want to let you know, dog. Keep wearing them green shirts, dog. Tight top.
Oh, I'm never wearing this shirt ever again.
Hey, man.
Oh my God. Thanks for tuning in. Ask Sade Renee at gmail.com.
Send your stories, send your questions. Talk to me.
What's the word? Engage.
Hey, and sub to my stream channel If y'all like video games, and I'm out here top 500 in the Rocket Blade player. I don't know if you know about that game, but come holla at your boy. You know what I mean? Sub to the channel. We got a lot of good content on there too. You know what I'm talking about? Peace.